Mayor Norquist, board members, ladies and gentlemen, can I first of all say how enormously touched and flattered I am to have been awarded the Athena Medal from the Congress for the New Urbanism. Secondly, can I also say how incredibly sorry I am not to be with you in person today, but I thought this form of carbon-neutral communication might be more acceptable and still allows me the chance to register my warmest appreciation for the award, as well as my vision for the work both of the Congress and of your built environment colleagues. Now, in receiving today your generous award of the Athena Medal, I am greatly honoured, if not a little surprised, to be placed alongside its previous recipients, Christopher Alexander, Leon Cryer, Jonathan Barnett, Denise Scott Brown and Robert Stern. It has been a real inspiration to work with and be guided by some of these visionary practitioners. The name given to this award, the Athena Medal, is also very inspiring. Athena, the goddess of heroic endeavor, the protector of the city. I rather hope that all of my efforts over the past 25 years or so, conducted in the face of a chorus of abuse and ridicule, have been in support of such a noble cause within the sphere of the built environment. Personally, I find it extraordinary that there has to be such a mammoth struggle in the effort to promote what I can only feel are civilized values that draw on living traditions. As I think you may know, I have been trying to promote the kind of development which is guided by a set of principles which will be all too familiar to you, the Congress members. Principles such as timelessness, humility, sense of place, and priority for the use of traditional and local materials, all of which result in communities that people enjoy living in and which reflect local adaptation. If we honor such principles, I believe that we can create places where communities flourish, where local identity can be preserved and celebrated, and where commercial returns are achieved, all the while protecting and working in harmony with the natural environment. In fact, I no longer believe, but I know this to be the case, as a recent exhaustive report I commissioned with the cooperation of the British Property Federation and a major firm of land agents confirms. The report is entitled Valuing Sustainable Urbanism, and it demonstrates the enhanced social, environmental, and commercial value that can be obtained. But, ladies and gentlemen, if we are to ensure that the world does not become disfigured by a rash of aliens from outer space, masquerading as fashionable eco-cities, but merely a repetition of the same old conventional approach, now in a different guise, that caused so much damage in the 1950s and 1960s, I believe there is a vital need to integrate traditional urbanism with the eco-friendly agenda. Now, if I may, at the risk of repeating myself, reiterate a point I made at the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C. several years ago, there is a profound need, I believe, to move toward architecture and planning which similarly reconnect the human and natural worlds with one another. I do think there is a crucial need to recognize how important it is that traditional or sustainable urbanism should demonstrate a viable and manifestly better alternative to the kind of soulless buildings and developments we have seen erected in both the United States and the United Kingdom. Such a mission requires eco-engineers of the kind that can blend the latest techniques and discoveries with ancient knowledge, wisdom, and experience to produce what I can only call integrated urbanism, an urbanism that can still reflect our cultural and geographical identity and thus avoid the creeping homogenization and uglification of our world. We have to demonstrate that traditional eco-efficiency is more carbon neutral, requires infinitely less embodied energy, and uses renewable materials far more effectively and harmoniously than the latest fashionable approach, which is merely business as usual with little green knobs on. Now, I cannot stress too highly the importance of traditional urbanism being at the forefront of developing an eco-urbanism. And by eco-urbanism, I mean a body of practice that demonstrates how to achieve the lowest carbon approach possible, but within a vernacular and traditional framework. Perhaps you could call it an eco-vernacular approach. Such a practice and behavior would be part of a living tradition, one that incorporates the kind of craftsmanship which in itself is so beneficial for people's psychological well-being. And if I may, I wanted to take this opportunity to speak with you today to request your support on such a mission. It would, for example, be so marvelous if the Congress could lead on this issue of the eco-vernacular in partnership with my foundation. In this way, you could continue the excellent work you are already doing in the field of green urbanism, but at the same time extend its impacts. I can only encourage the Congress to increase the scope and scale of its work on evolving a traditional urbanism that is eco-friendly and eco-efficient, and which demonstrably meets the challenges of climate change and global urbanization. Now, to help in this task, I would be delighted to offer the partnership of my foundation, as I understand that your recent Green Council proposed a set of supplemental principles to your charter promoting the importance of the green agenda. In light of the critical importance of this issue, I would like to propose the establishment of a new initiative jointly led by the Congress and my foundation. So on behalf of both organizations, I'm thrilled to announce a new Living Tradition Prize for Green Urbanism. This award will be established to recognize the revolutionary work of individuals and organizations who embrace the challenge of building greener cities and towns in a truly sustainable way, one that acknowledges the unbroken nature of the great human story and the way that it has unfolded in response to local culture, landscape, ecology, and building practice. The prize would honor one person, program, or place each year for displaying the courage, ingenuity, and skill needed to evolve traditional thinking, using the best of contemporary technology, materials, and skills in response to today's sustainability challenges of global urban growth, climate change, and health and prosperity. Now, I'm asking Hank Dittmar to work with the incoming CNU Chairman Ray Gindros and President John Norquist to recommend criteria for this prize to be awarded for the first time in London in 2009. But before concluding, I just wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous work of Hank Dittmar, Chief Executive of my foundation. I understand Hank will be stepping down as chairman of the CNU at this Congress, and therefore I wish to join with you in acknowledging and thanking him so warmly for his successful and tireless leadership during his term. I, for one, am hoping that he will continue our ongoing partnership, but perhaps be allowed to spend a little more time on my side of the Atlantic. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a special honor to be standing virtually beside previous recipients of the Congress for the New Urbanism Athena Medal. I wish to express my heartfelt appreciation to the Congress for an opportunity to do so. The quality of our built environment is something I have been passionate about for many years, dangerously so in the view of some people and organizations. So receiving this award has really raised my spirits enormously and has provided further motivation to continue the battle through the work of my foundation for the built environment and that of the Duchy of Cornwall for beautiful, harmonious, successful and lively places for all to live in. And needless to say, I much look forward to working with the Congress for the new urbanism in this most essential of tasks, if we are to bequeath our successors with anything of lasting and sustainable value in this threatened world.